please help me find it for the girl. I turned around, went underwater, and the voice directed me, said left, go left, a little further up there, go out, and reach out now. And I reached out, picked it up. I think I was just as much shocked as anyone else too. And I come out of the water and I'm holding up my finger and they're going like, are you kidding me?
This is Touched by Heaven, everyday encounters with God, because God is speaking to you and me and the church and the world. And here we get to listen in on the conversations, these collisions of heaven and earth. Divine intervention, prophetic dreams, visions, near-death experiences, angels. Certainly have angels today. I'm your host, Trapper Jack. Please make a note. We're going back to Medjugorje. Yeah, a lot of you have been asking, are you going back anytime? Yep. We're going to do it in October. I'm just going to tell you this much for now. If you want to look at saving the dates, it's October 6th through the 13th. I'm going to tell you more about it next week, but for right now, that's what you need to know. If you'd like to be amongst the first to receive information when available, there is a link in the show notes. Again, it's October 6th through the 13th, Medjugorje. We're going back, and Elizabeth and I couldn't be more excited about it and hope that you will be able to join us. Where are we going in this episode? Let me tell you where we're going. The song that has been playing in my head, directing this one, is a John Legend song. Do you know the song, All of Me Loves All of You? That one? All of me loves all of you. And we spiritualize this. Pretty simple. As the song says, love your curves and your edges. Love your perfect imperfections. All that we aren't, all that we are, everything in between. He just loves us, right? Okay, there's that. But the important part about, I think, why that particular song was bubbling up in my head, seemingly out of nowhere, but we know where that nowhere is the first part where he says, all of me. What does that mean? I love how there's a local priest, Father Ryan Mann. I love this, and I take this with me, and I sometimes will give talks with this wrapped around it and in it. We sell church, Jesus, like he's broccoli. Come to church. It's good for you, like broccoli. Well, are you going to get in the car for broccoli? No. And I'm convinced there's just a lot of people who don't come because nothing happens there. It's broccoli. We sell this little slice of who God is, this little slice of who Jesus is. We put God in a box, and that's the beauty of this podcast and your stories. You got angels, you've got the prophetic, you've got healing, you've got all these things that God is, and he's powerful, he's mighty, he's magnificent. So I find myself being directed back to episode 43. This is like 6 years ago. Why? Because in this episode, we have Lisa and Larry Forrest, and through them, we come to understand and we know God still sends his angels. We hear the prophetic in this episode. We hear how God feels about kids. He made them, And our job is to get on the same page with God. So many of the aspects or qualities of God are in this episode. And just listen to this beautiful story of Lisa and Larry Forrest here on Touched by Heaven, everyday encounters with God.
I went to Medjugorje back in 92. And my husband was always Christian. We always prayed and so forth. But like you said, we weren't on the same page yet. And I was going to prayer cenacles. I was finding my faith. I really found my faith when I was like 27 at the time, 28. And that's when I found my faith. And it was like, oh my goodness, I didn't know so much. And then my girlfriend, we found our faith together, actually. So, and then whenever he came on the same page with me, as far as, Marian apparitions and the Catholic Church and all that, then, it was unity. It was before and after kind of thing.
What was it that finally went, oh, maybe there's something here?
I'm going to have to think, let me see he might say it differently, but there was another time that we had a pool party over here with all of my daughter's birthday. And one of the girls was so distraught. She lost her earring in the pool that her mother gave her. I guess it was an expensive earring. Now these girls are like 12 years old. And she was crying, and she said, I came off in the pool, So my husband said, I'll find it for you. I'll find it. So he went down without goggles. I don't know how he thought he was going to find it. But anyway, the voice came to him again, said, go ahead, get in the pool, go left, go right, go forward. And he found this little post, this little earring that's a bit, you know how small those are. And underwater, without goggles, he was led by that voice to get that earring. So that day, I think, really changed him when he did, because he can tell. It's better to hear it from him.
Oh, I pray to help find things sometimes. I have St. Anthony where it's weird, but it's funny. At least
and for those who don't know, St. Anthony, we pray to when we lose things. And it is remarkable he is the busiest saint in the world. There are saints twiddling their thumbs, and this guy is zipping all over the place.
Well, the one thing was I was in the pool, and I can't see that great. You know, I used to have really good eyesight, but you know how you're in the water, you can't really see things sometimes on that. And this little girl had lost her earring on there, and she was one of the girl's friends, one of my daughter's friends, and I said, you know what, I'll try to find it. You know, I mean, if you search long enough, you're eventually going to run into something. But I said, I prayed to St. Anthony. I said, please help me find it for the girl on that. And I turned around, went underwater, and the voice directed me, said, left, go left, a little further up there, go out, and reach out now. And I reached out, and I really couldn't see something that, you know what I mean? Something I think was there. And I reached and I picked it up. I think I was just as much shocked as anyone else too. And I come out of the water and I'm holding up my finger, and they're going like, are you kidding me? And I go, yeah, here it is. Like that. We all started laughing. It was going like, oh my gosh. I mean, it's like, so there's been.
Wait a minute. So you're in the pool and like in under what, 30 seconds, you found this little itty bitty part of an earring.
I'd say about seriously 6 seconds. It was that quick. I mean, they had been searching for quite a while. No one got it. And it got to the point where they weren't sure anymore if it was in the pool. You know what I mean? That maybe she had lost it outside or whatever of the pool.
So they've been looking for a while, and in 6 seconds, you got it.
Yeah. I go, here it is. And I did say, thank you, St. Anthony. So, wow. But it was, so there was just funny things that happened and so forth. And it's been,
How do you picture your angel?
It's funny. I thought about that. I've actually almost, you know how they say, some people say they actually know their angel's name, you know, their guardian angel, whatever. And I honestly, I don't, in my mind, you want to picture him with the wings, I guess, but I don't really see that either. I just see, it seems like the voice is just so regular and soothing, and it doesn't feel like a big person. You know what I mean? It's not a big, deep voice. You know, it's just it's actually just a very. It feels like the person would be around my height, 5'9", 5'10", and just, you know, there's nothing. Just a good person, though. The laugh. I won't forget the laughs on that. And then there was one thing I haven't heard my guardian angel in a while, and it was we were leaving on vacation, and we have a motorhome. It's an older one, but it's one we have fun in with the kids, and we were leaving on Sunday, and we hadn't gone to church that day, and we wanted to get going. You know how it always, you know, keeps going and going. You know, you get running late, and I said, you know what? We're going to go to church, you know, before we leave on vacation. I don't care if we're going to sell water for an hour and a half longer. Who really cares, right? So we all went to church. We're sitting down, getting in the pew, and the voice said to me, this is actually the last time I have actually had an audible voice from him. And he goes, let them know this is for them. And I go, my family? Yes. And Father was getting ready to go up to speak and everything, and we were kind of near the front, so I go, I'll tell him after, you know, after the service. So guess what the reading was? Don't forget God in your vacation.
So that was his homily? That was his homily?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I'm sitting there, and I told the girls afterwards, they're going, "Oh my gosh, why didn't you tell us?" I was like, didn't want to be screaming across. Hey, pay
It's
attention.
for you.
This is, yeah.
He's doing a vacation homily.
As well as for me, obviously.
Do you talk to your angel? Whether he's talking or not, are you? I know you say you pray.
Here's the funny part is I will like I actually feel like I'm trying to talk to Jesus more than to him, but I will do a shout out to him. You know what I mean? Like, hey, do me a favor. My kids are driving home and they're heading there. Can you watch over them? That's when I ask for when I'll talk to the guardian angels. When sounds like he's probably sick of me using them. Probably going, but I do ask him to watch over my family members when they're driving somewhere or flying somewhere or something like that. I go, please, that's when I talk to him the most, I would say.
It's funny you put it that way. I don't know if anything gives them more joy than for you to be thinking about them. This is why I say it's so important for us to always have God in the room, Jesus in the room, our angel in the room, if you will, that when we're driving along, that we're not alone in the car. We're not alone in the office.
Yeah.
None of us are ever alone, and you are a reminder to us to always have that conversation going, because when that conversation's going is when we notice those things that aren't coincidence.
Right. Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. I never at night. It's funny with prayers at night too. Is well, from the standpoint of really, I don't know what religion you are and so forth, but I always get confused with the at nighttime when I say, because I always say, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, but what I'll say is, please, watch over my family and lead me in the right direction, things like that. But I also always feel funny. Am I allowed to say something to the guardian angel at that point?
Am I allowed? Allowed?
Well, you know what I mean? We standpoint to like, God and Jesus is up at this level. You know what I mean? If we throw them in all together, you know what I mean? It's kind of like, it's just funny. I never, so I always like do my separate time when I want to, like that kind of.
Speaking of nighttime prayers, in 1998, Larry and Lisa had 3 daughters with a 4th on the way, and Larry was listening to his daughters pray.
Lisa was at the time probably about 8 months pregnant, around there. And what the kids had gotten into a routine was, I have 4 daughters. My 3 oldest daughters, they love, and it actually continued on when Carly was born too. They loved to sleep together. We had 3 bedrooms that they could sleep in, but they all wanted to sleep together. So they'd sleep in this full-size bed together. So when they were going to bed at night, they were 9, 7, and around 4. And they'd say their prayers together, and I was by the door, and I just like letting them, sometimes I'd say prayers with them. Sometimes I didn't. I just like to see what they would do on their prayer. So, and they knew they had a little baby on the way with mom. And, I'm standing in the doorway just watching them, and they're sitting down there and they're praying, "Dear God, please give us a happy, healthy baby," which was kind of like the saying of all the time, a happy, healthy baby. You pray for a happy, healthy baby. And they were saying that prayer. And right when they were saying that, the voice came to me and said, "Remember, they asked for a happy, healthy baby." And just hit me, because it kind of confused me at the same time, going like, and it said, "Remember what they're asking for." So I go, okay. And in my mind, I go, something's coming, but I don't know what. I don't tell Lisa this story, because I don't want her worrying, because I know obviously something's not right, but I don't know what it is. But that I'm to remember that we're having a happy, healthy baby. So that happened twice. And so it stuck with me, because they'd pray every night for that. So sure enough, Lisa has our baby Carly, and she's born with Down syndrome. But she's healthy as a horse, has no issues, and couldn't be a happier baby, a gift from God. But still, it's different. The kids, either 9, 7, 4, they've been praying for the past 2.5 months or so for this. So on the ride down, I just said to them, I said, "Hey girls," I go, we're going to go down and it's going to see little Carly, with Mom. And I said, do you remember what you prayed for? And they go, yeah, happy, healthy baby. And I said, well, guess what? That's what we got. She's a very happy and healthy baby, but she does have something called Down syndrome, but she's going to be okay. She's just going to be a slower learner. That's all, and so forth like that. So the kids, it didn't impact the kids where, how some people get, oh my gosh, we have a child with this or whatever. And it made it easier for me to be able to talk with the kids so that they didn't feel like, and we don't get our prayers. I know we don't get all our prayers. And thank God for some prayers we don't get answered. I know that and so forth. But it was just something that for our daughters, that they realized they did get what they had prayed for on there. She's just different, and it was, and it turned out to be a beautiful thing. So they weren't like in shock down there. They're all taking their turns, holding little Carly and so forth. But it was just kind of a neat thing. And then afterwards, I told Lisa, I said, and when I found out that she had Down syndrome and so forth, Lisa was like, you didn't throw you off or anything. I said, well, I kind of knew something was coming. And she goes, oh my gosh. She goes, Larry, I did too. And it was kind of like she I don't know, mom's instinct or whatever, but she goes, I knew something wasn't going to be right too on that. So it was funny. We never told each other because we didn't want the other to worry, about with going forth with receiving our child and so forth. But it was just a neat thing that my guardian angel, I'm assuming that's who it was, said, wanted to make things easier for what could have maybe been tougher for the girls and having little baby Carly into their life. So I thought it was kind of a neat thing that happened and really a gift, obviously, to us, all of us on that.
That's a great story. How old is Carly now?
Carly right now is 19.
Wow. How's she doing?
She's doing great. And my wife is walking in right now. Hey, baby.
Hey.
It's the Lisa. It's the Lisa.
Hello. Hi, Trapper Jack. How are you?
I'm great. These are, you two are a heck of a combo, I tell you.
Isn't it something?
It's something. You start with a flat tire and look what you end up with. It's amazing.
I know.
Well, and and this started, you were talking, Larry, about how when you were a little boy, there never was a time, it sounds like you remember that you weren't praying at night or whenever.
Yeah, I'm sure there's times when I fell asleep or passed out for different reasons in college, but where I might not have said my prayers, but I did every night that I knew I was heading to bed on there and was in a great spot, if you know what I mean. I would always say prayers. And I would tell you a kind of a cute thing my oldest daughter did to me. She was about 11 years old. And when we sit down as a family together, we say grace. And my daughter, they can be wiser than you think. At age 11, my oldest goes, Dad, is saying grace, is that important? I go, yeah, it is. You need to let God know you're thankful. There's other people that, believe me, don't have any food and so forth. She goes, so it's really important to say. I go, absolutely it is, honey. She goes, well, do you say it when you're out with your friends? And I went, dead silence. I looked directly at my wife and realized what a fool I be, right? I go, oh my gosh, I don't. And I looked at her, I go, you know what though, honey? I will from this point forward. And when we're out as a family, we'll say grace. And with my buddies, they're good guys. Not everyone believes like they should, but have the strongest faces. I would pray for them, but never do they'll bow their heads. They'll be quiet when I'm saying grace. And they know I don't think I'm anything more special than the fact that my daughter taught me a lesson that it's easy to say, but it's more impressive if you do. So it's, I realized it was just funny out of the babe, the mouth of babes. You get, I got a little face pushed and it was deserving.
I was in the airport. Remember, I was in the airport. No, not the airport. We stopped on our way on the road. I was at a table myself and I said it, and the woman came up to me after and she said, thank you for that. And you don't even know who's watching or seeing you. Or
I'll tell you what it is, and this is, as I hear you and Lisa talk, you guys are a throwback. You are America many years ago, in the sense it is so cute. I mean, with the kids all piled into a bed and everyone saying their prayers, and I'll tell you something, Larry. I was telling Beth, I said, there is something, and I've spent more time with you than Lisa, but I felt it with Lisa as well. There is something childlike about both of you in the way Jesus said we need to be childlike. And my best example about you, Larry, is, and I think this is funny, Lisa, is when he was saying, I pray at night. I pray to the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And I'm not sure whether or not I should throw the angels in there too, or if they would be offended. I don't know if anybody would be offended. And I'm thinking, this is something a kid would say. Daddy, does God mind if I pray with the angel? You know what I mean? You have that little boy, I don't want to offend anybody up there kind of thing. I think God just smiles at you guys. I think he just smiles. You got a bed full of kids praying. How are you not going to be blessed? You know what I mean? How are you not going to be blessed? It's beautiful. You guys, you're a throwback. It's the Leave It to Beaver family. I don't know who it's the Cleavers. I don't know, it's so cute. It's so real. You guys are a lesson. And I'm telling you, and I think you're right about this. When I used to sit in restaurants and watch like another family pray, and I would think to myself, we should be doing that. This is, just decades ago, I would watch someone go, they have something. I would just think, and I think this is what you're reading from people when the woman walked up to you, Lisa, and said that. It's like, you've got something, and they want it. They want that. They want that peace. They want that peace. They want that connection. They do.
And not to get off, but there was a kind of a neat story that actually from how Lisa handled things and really well was there was a nurse that we met, and we were having Carly, the nurse there, the practitioner or whatever, said to us, hey, do you want to have that test done to see whether or not your child has any issues, health issues or whatever? And we said, well, what is the test for? You find out if you have Down syndrome. I go, well, is it because you can help them or something? No, just so it'll give you choices, options. And then Lisa and I, obviously, the minute we heard that word, we go, oh, okay. Well, we said, no, it really won't matter. I said, you're going to put our child in jeopardy for no reason, because no matter what God gives us our gift, we're keeping our gift. Well, ironic as things turned out, Carly does end up with Down syndrome. And we come out and we meet that same woman. And she made the most stunning comment, but it was actually, she's one of the few people that was really honest. And once she learned that our daughter had Down syndrome, and she saw our daughter and stuff, she goes, do you wish you had had that test done now? Yeah. Now, initially, everybody's thought is like, that's horrific. How could you say that? But then Lisa and I afterwards, we go, you know what? She's truly honest in what she believes, because she doesn't think there's anything wrong with killing someone like that. And I said, what's weird is if you tell that story to a person who believes in abortion and they're offended, I go, how could you be offended? What's the difference then versus now? Only because you see the child? And it was like a neat thing for us. It was kind of like we felt bad for this woman that she doesn't understand life and the gift from God. But I remember afterwards, someone saying, you must have been furious with her. And I go, no, I actually felt sad for her. We both did. We looked at each other. We just kind of went like, oh my gosh, she doesn't get it. You know what? She's consistent.
Yeah, she was completely honest. She was completely honest. Yeah. And we've talked to, and especially during the Blind Faith Live episode, about how those who are less connected physically to this world, like Carly, are more spiritual. Automatically, they are more spiritual because they have less of the physical, and they're closer to God than we are. They're closer to God than we are because of that.
You just hit the nail on the head for saying that, because this Christmas, I was sitting at the table, and it's so funny you say that, because Carly isn't real, she can talk, but to get 3 words in a row that actually match up correctly, it's pretty good. And so I'm sitting at the table, I'm eating, and all of a sudden Carly goes, Bampa's in heaven and Grammy's visiting Bampa. And I'm like, what? I stopped, I turned around and looked at her, I go, what? I actually have the video as I asked her afterwards, where she goes, Bampa's in heaven. Grammy's visiting Bampa. Now, my Bampa is her grandfather, my dad. He passed away. And Mom is at a place called Wingate right now, and she has Alzheimer's, and she's full blown at this point. And she doesn't really, she's probably not going to know you if she sees you. So it was just like this Christmas, all of a sudden, to have that comment was like, whoa.
Carly somehow got a message there that.
Oh yeah. I mean, I sent that out to everybody. Everybody's going, "Whoa, you got to be kidding!" It's like to hear that from Carly is like bizarro, and it's just so amazing how many gifts Carly has given us from that. It's just like you go like, "Wow." She is a happy, healthy baby too.
Let's pause right about here. Then more with Lisa and Larry Forrest here on Touched by Heaven. Quick Patreon shout out. Thank you, Amy in Canada, for your ongoing support at patreon.com, or come to this episode, $3.59 at touchedbyheaven.net. And we appreciate your support for Amy. She had a long commute up there in Canada, and she was tired of the music and decided, I wonder if there's any podcasts out there.
But I also had conversations with God while I was driving. And then I told him, I said, I want to know you better. And then that's how I came across Touched by Heaven. So that's how I came across the podcast.
So you requested God to find you a good podcast.
Yes, I said I wanted to know him better, and then you popped up.
Well, I'm glad we come highly recommended.
Yes.
That's great.
I look forward to it because for me, it helps me stay hopeful and faithful. And then I feel the hope in people's stories and in their voices, and it inspires me and it carries me through. So that's my strength. It would always lift me back up when I couldn't do it myself.
Thanks, Amy. If you'd like to join Amy and the rest of the Patreon family, come here to this episode at touchedbyheaven.net or go to patreon.com and search for Trapper Jack. Now let's get back to Lisa and Larry Forrest here on Touched by Heaven, everyday encounters with God.
You start thinking about your life, and I've heard you say it before, where you look back and you realize that you've been doing this all your life, but you didn't think that you were. So when you mentioned how Larry was praying since he was a child and so forth, I wasn't one to get on my knees and pray like that, but I always talked to him all through my life. I look back and I think about it now. I can remember coming home. I was probably about 20 something at night, laying in bed praying, God, help me to find, a good husband, a good guy, and help me to make the right decisions. Well, the night that I met Larry, it was a very important decision I had to make. And it was funny because it was like, do I dance with this guy? Do I not dance with this guy? And that was my big decision. So I can remember saying that prayer, and then I can pinpoint when the prayer was answered,
Just to interject here, I totally believe God wanted Lisa and Larry to get together. But to do that, he had to block some information from Larry. And a couple other things, too. Lisa heard from friends that they thought Larry was a jerk. So was she going to dance with this guy anyway?
There's one song. It's The Tramps, but it's called Where the Happy People Go by the Tramps. And it's just that song would play. And no matter where I was, there was no other song. I was going on the dance floor. The girl I was dating before Lisa, she was a very nice girl, but she smoked all the time. And I hated smoking to the point that I didn't care who the girl was. If I saw a cigarette in her hand, she was never going to go on a date with me. That was it. That song came on and I wanted to dance, and she was right there. So we went on the dance floor, and I've never done this before. We danced for 4 hours straight, dancing together. Had such a great time. You know how you feel a connection with someone? We just hit it off like you wouldn't believe. We're done, and we said, hey, let's go get a drink. We should be dehydrated by then. So we go to get a drink, and I stop, and I go to get a drink. I turn around, and she's lighting up a cigarette. I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding. It devastated me. I went up to her. I said, hey, would you quit smoking for me? Now, granted, she just met me 4 hours ago. Go ahead.
I think I just said,
you go, no.
It's a real quick line. No.
Yeah. No.
And now her mouth is perfect.
Yeah.
That's right.
Exactly.
I don't know how I ever did it. Now, oh gosh, I can't stand it now.
Yeah, she hates smoking.
4 hours of dance. You guys talk, or was it just straight dancing?
We're talking back and forth and laughing, and we just had fun moves together.
Wait a minute, did you ever sit down, or did you just dancing for
No.
4 hours?
Yeah.
I want to say, too, here that you try to figure out how God does what he does and when he does what he does, but I don't think it's an accident that your angel started talking to you after you and Lisa got together.
Yeah.
Do you make that connection or not?
I do, because you know what? He never did speak to me before then. Never.
Oh, yeah. Gee, I never.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
So I got two angels. Is that where you're going with this?
Look at you. You ain't such a jerk. You ain't such a jerk. You guys are great. I've loved this so much. I'm not kidding. You guys might be a two-parter. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with all of this.
Well, your podcasts have been great. I've been passing them along to my sister and my friends, and I put it on Facebook too.
Yeah, she's blowing right through all your.
I put a comment on Facebook with a link to your podcast. I think it's just great what you do, and you make so many good points that this is how the early church was, where they passed on their experiences to one another, and that we don't do that anymore.
No, we're so quiet. We're so quiet about this stuff. And they wrote about it so boldly in the Bible. It's all in the scripture. There's like over 250 references about angels. They had no shyness in talking about this, and the healings. And it's like, just something that says that God's at work. And that's what Touched by Heaven's about. We're just talking about what God is doing now. I think it's wonderful what he did 2,000 years ago. And as I made reference, you probably heard it, Lisa, is that it's a little bit like a musical group who is just known for their oldies.
Yeah.
But we're still putting out current music. Well, I don't care about your current music. I just want to hear the stuff you did 2,000 years ago. I'm sorry. I want to hear about today. I want to know what you did today, God. And you guys are such great examples about what God is doing today through you. I think it's beautiful.
I don't understand why that's not done. I really don't. I know how to say this, but I know you're blind on that, and it's funny how a person blind can see more than people that have 20/20 vision, isn't it? Kind of ironic.
I think God has a plan. I think he has a plan.
I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, and I pray a rosary every day. And and last night I was we were shooting a new what's called Patreon. Patreon is people can help us financially on a monthly basis. And I was shooting a new video last night. And I'm going through 20, 30 takes, falling all over my words and just fumbling and bumbling. And I'm saying to my son, Stephen, who's shooting the thing, I said, okay, what am I forgetting? What should I, he's giving me his input, and it's taken a while. And finally I get one of the takes, we kind of both look at each other and go, yeah, that one was pretty good. And I put my hand down on the desk, and I didn't even realize that there was a rosary right here on the desk.
Oh, wow.
And I touched it and went, oh, has that been in the shot? Because, people won't be able to tell what it is. It's just this clump over it. It's like, and I started to move it, and he said, no, I'm not sure it was in the shot or not. It's not, but that was the take we took. That was Mary saying that one. That was Mary saying that one.
Yeah, that works.
And you can see it at patreon.com. Just look for Trapper Jack, and you'll see that one, right? Maybe you'll see I don't even know if you can see the rosary. I don't even know. Pretty cool.
Well, thank you for being you, Trapper.
Yeah,
God bless you guys. Thanks, Lisa and Larry, for showing us again. You can't put God in a box. It's all of me, all of him that loves all of us. And there's so many different aspects, qualities, if you want to call it that, of God. And it was nice to hear so many of them in this episode with angels and the prophetic and how God feels about children, and on and on and on. God reveals himself through your stories. Need your stories here at touchedbyheaven.net. We're going back to Medjugorje. If you want to look at saving the dates, it's October 6th through the 13th. I'm going to tell you more about it next week, but for right now, that's what you need to know. If you'd like to be amongst the first to receive information when available, there is a link in the show notes. Again, it's October 6th through the 13th, Medjugorje. We're going back, and Elizabeth and I couldn't be more excited about it and hope that you will be able to join us. Good deal. Thanks again for your Patreon help at patreon.com, or again here at touchedbyheaven.net. All right, see you next week here at Touched by Heaven. Everyday encounters with God. I'm Trapper Jack, always looking up, always looking for directions.
Left, go left, a little further up there.